Good evening. Today is Monday, April 15th, 2024, and I'm calling to order the meeting of the City Council of the City of Gahanna. If you would please join me for the invocation Pledge of Allegiance with Council Vice President Trenton Weaver.
Thank you. As we gather, we are grateful to appreciate and use each day that comes before us. For each day's duties and in each day's difficulties, we are challenged to give our best always in service to one another and to our community. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Weaver. Mr. Van Meter, would you please call the roll?
Bowers.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
McGregor.
Here.
Padova.
Here.
Renner.
Here.
Schnetzer.
Here.
Weaver.
Here.
Thank you, Mr. Van Meter. I will note that the split screen function is not working on our streaming service tonight. We are aware of that, and we have put a ticket in with the vendor. For the presentation by Visit Gahanna tonight, please refer to the presentation slide deck that is linked in the agenda, as well as the annual report that is included as an attachment. Thank you. Are there any other additions or corrections to the agenda? There is no proclamation to be presented this evening?
That would be correct. She was not able to make it tonight, so with council's indulgence, perhaps we can schedule that for next week. I know it's committee, but it's for Arbor Day.
Great, that's lovely. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Any other corrections or additions to the agenda? All right, hearing none, we'll move to our next section of the agenda. We'll start with presentations. Our first item on tonight's agenda is to celebrate and recognize Pam Ripley, who has retired after 17 and a half years with the City of Gahanna. We are so grateful that Pam finished her time with the City of Gahanna in council office, but prior to that, she served for many years with the Parks and Recreation Department, serving the Parks and Rec Board, the Foundation Board, and the Landscape Board. Her historical knowledge, her take-charge attitude, and her welcoming personality, she lovingly earned and celebrated the name of Queen Bee throughout the Parks and Recreation Department, and definitely brought that energy into council office as well. When she was promoted and joined council office in 2021, she served as the clerk to the Planning Commission and Records Commission, and served as an interim clerk of council from February to March of 2022. During her time here, she also was able to achieve her CMC designation, which is an important designation as a clerk across the state. We have a resolution that is jointly presented with the mayor, and we would like to take this moment to present the recognition to you, Pam, and celebrate your time here. Thank you. Want to join me?
Sure.
Yes. Okay. If any of my colleagues have any remarks they would like to share, and I think Mr. Weaver wanted to offer some.
Thank you, Madam President. I'll be very brief. I rarely like to speak on behalf of my colleagues, but I'll take just a quick moment to do it. I think it's safe to say that express our thanks and gratitude to Pam for all of her work on behalf of council and the city. Always grateful for our council office staff and all of our city employees, but little biased in terms of Pam, since she was the one who really did my orientation along with Council Member Padova and led our hands as we were as we first took office, and for that I will be forever grateful. And I'm sure I can speak for all of us when I wish Pam nothing but the best in her next chapter, and thank her for her years of service to our city.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can you repeat that?
Thank you.
As Pam well knows, the minutes will be uploaded. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, and thank you to Clerk Van Meter and to the other members of the staff who worked on that resolution and really captured the history and the heart of what Pam has given to the city of Gahanna. So thank you. All right. Our next item on the agenda then is a Visit Gahanna update from Executive Director Lori Kappas.
Is it on?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. Hello, my name is Lori Kappas, and I am the Executive Director of Visit Gahanna. Thank you for the opportunity to provide an update this evening. We recently hosted our annual meeting at the Gahanna Sanctuary, which some of you attended, so I apologize for anything in my update that will be repetitive. Our keynote speaker at the annual meeting was Amir Alan, the president and CEO of Longwoods International, which is a market research consultancy that has been focused in tourism since 1985. Longwoods works with over 175 destinations and brands and is headquartered in Columbus. Fun fact, Amir is the husband of Gahanna's first CVB director, Karen Alan. Amir's presentation made the connection between destination marketing and economic development. One key takeaway from the program was that it all starts with a visit. I became aware of that phrase and used it long before I knew who coined it. Turns out a woman named Mara Gast, who is the executive director of Visit Irving, Texas, and was the chair of the Destination Marketing Association International Conference, said it in her closing speech 13 years ago. Destination marketing professionals have been using it ever since. I won't try to redeliver the message from our keynote speaker from our annual meeting, because I'm not sure I'll do it justice or be as entertaining, but I will share with you one of the slides that he shared. The Community Vitality Wheel, which supports the idea that it all starts with a visit and confirms the importance of destination marketing organizations like Visit Gahanna. It states that if you build a place where people want to visit, then you have built a place where people want to live. And if you build a place where people want to live, then you build a place where people want to work. And if you built a place where people want to work, then you have built a place where businesses and residents will invest. And if you build a place where businesses and residents will invest, then you've built a place where people want to visit. Sounds a little bit like if you give a mouse a cookie, right? The bottom line is that tourism developments have been proven to influence the quality of life and overall well-being of the community. And the dividends of destination promotion extend far beyond the visitor. In an effort to bring awareness to Gahanna as a great place to visit, live, work, and play, the staff of Visit Gahanna spends a tremendous amount of time planning and executing the events we host throughout the year. But we also spend a good amount of time creating marketing and promotional materials and finding creative ways to entice people to spend time here. Last year, multiple publishers took notice of the great things happening in Gahanna, which earned free media for us, which is the best kind, including an incredible 6-page spread in Ohio Magazine and a full-page article in Columbus Monthly, featuring Ohio Herb Center coordinator Amanda Ferguson and her recommendations for why you should visit Gahanna. These are just 2 examples of many. We track these media impressions throughout the year, and I'm pleased to report that we had over 36 million media impressions last year, which was nearly 3 million more than the previous year, or 8%. And these are just the ones we know about. There are likely more. I'd also like to highlight the growth in website visits and social media reach over the last year. Although visitgahanna.com's visitors increased by an impressive 24%, our Facebook reach increased by 207%, and Instagram was even more notable with a growth of 341%. The Creekside Blues and Jazz and Instagram stats weren't too shabby either, coming in with a growth of 106% and 230% respectively. Our team was thrilled to receive 3 Ruby Awards from the Ohio Travel Association for our efforts, which stands for Recognizing Uncommon Brilliance Yearly. Additionally, the Ohio Association of Convention and Visitors Bureaus also presented us with 3 State Tourism Achievement Recognition, or STAR Awards, as they are known. Both of these organizations enlist the help of experts in the marketing field to judge the submissions. So it's truly an achievement to be recognized and receive these awards. We have the pleasure of delighting guests and residents with everything I mentioned. Oops, I got ahead of myself, sorry. About those events that I was mentioning earlier, the Creekside Blues and Jazz Festival got back to pre-COVID attendance numbers last year, attracting people from 27 different states and multiple cities across Ohio. Now in its 25th year, it is truly Gahanna's signature event and is shaping up to be another incredible year with already double the amount of online ticket sales from this time last year. Before we get to CBJF though, we will present Herb Day in only 18 days, which promises to be another fun celebration of spring. We have the pleasure of delighting guests and residents with everything I mentioned, and we do it with a portion of the lodging tax that is collected by Gahanna's 4 hotels. Our lodging tax income in 2023 was just slightly above the previous year. But as you can see from this graph, we are still well below 2019's collections. It is important to note that this doesn't necessarily indicate that less people are visiting Gahanna. Many factors play into this. Several new hotels have opened in close proximity, but outside Gahanna in the last few years, and many of these hotels are in direct competition with ours. At the same time, short-term rentals like Airbnbs who don't currently collect lodging tax in Gahanna have been popping up around the city and are also competing with our hotels for business. Additionally, 2 of our 4 hotels cater to extended stays, which are exempt from lodging tax after 30 days. In fact, these same hotels are currently nearly full with guests staying longer than 30 days at the moment. We recognize that these circumstances are out of our control, and we continue to forge ahead and do the best we can with the resources we have. With that, I'd like to share an overview of how we ended the year financially, starting with income. As you can see, our lodging tax income came in just short of what was budgeted, as well as the income from Holiday Lights. Holiday Lights income is mostly sponsorships. Other event income includes annual meeting tickets and the Creekside Charity Chocolate Walk, because we handled those ticket sales and sponsorship for the event in 2023. All profits from the Chocolate Walk were then given to the charities of Give to Gahanna. The majority of our income came from Creekside Blues and Jazz admissions, beverage sales, and vendor fees. And fortunately, we brought in more than we budgeted, which helped offset the categories where we were short. So we ended up bringing in almost $35,000 more than we budgeted. Now on to expenses. For the most part, we stayed on track in most categories, spending slightly more in some and less in others. I would like to point out that the Creekside Blues and Jazz Festival was profitable, which definitely helped our bottom line and contributed to Holiday Lights expenses. Because as I'm sure you noticed, there is about a $10,000 difference in income versus expenses, and we purposely budget that way, knowing that the activities and attractions for Holiday Lights will cost more than what we can realistically collect from our sponsors and vendors. And it is because we profited from Creekside Blues and Jazz that we are able to do this. You may access more information from 2023 by downloading our annual report or using the QR code on the slide, or I believe it was linked to the agenda for this meeting as well. And now I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Director Kappas. Do any of my colleagues have questions? Mr. Weaver?
Just had a quick follow-up. Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Director Kappas, for being here and for the presentation, and really appreciated the annual meeting several weeks ago, Mr. Elon's presentation. I had a quick follow-up on the slide in terms of the lodging tax revenue, and I appreciate the explanation for contributing factors of why we maybe haven't seen that totally rebound to pre-pandemic levels. I guess, are you expecting that trend to continue and remain about the same there, or are we still optimistic that we might reach those pre-pandemic levels?
I don't know how realistic that would be to reach those levels anytime soon. Our board decided to budget pretty conservatively because we feel like, especially with 2 of our hotels catering to extended stay business, it's going to be difficult. And we're limited with only 4 hotels, so.
Yeah. Do we have a sense, and perhaps this is a better question for the administration, do we have a sense in terms of the number of short-term rentals that have come into being since pre-pandemic levels?
So we know that there are about 25 in Gahanna.
Okay. Thank you very much, Director. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Director. We appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
All right, the next item on the agenda is hearing of visitors. Mr. Clerk, have we received any speaker slips tonight?
No, none.
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address council this evening? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as published? It is limited to meeting minutes from 2 meetings on April 1st. First by Mr. Schnetzer.
Second.
A second by Mr. Renner. Any discussion? Mr. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Schnetzer?
Yes.
Renner?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
McGregor?
Yes.
Padova?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes. Motion passes. The consent agenda is adopted. Next section on the agenda are our resolutions for this evening. Our first resolution is the one that we've already presented in collaboration with Mayor Jadwin. Resolution 16-2024, a joint resolution and proclamation honoring and commending Pam Ripley, Deputy Clerk of Council, for her years of dedicated service to the city of Gahanna. Is there a first to adopt Resolution 16-2024?
So moved.
First by Mr. Schnetzer.
Second.
A second by Mr. Weaver. Is there any discussion regarding Resolution 16? All right, hearing none, Mr. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Schnetzer?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
McGregor?
Yes.
Padova?
Yes.
Renner?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Motion passes. Resolution 16-2024 is passed. The next resolution we have on the agenda is Resolution 17-2024, a resolution celebrating Earth Day, April 22nd, 2024, and committing to a more sustainable planet through actions to address the detrimental effects of plastics on ecosystems, wildlife, and human health. Is there a first to adopt Resolution 17-2024?
So moved.
Mr. Renner,
Second.
second by Mr. Schnetzer. Is there any discussion on Resolution 17? Mr. Renner?
Yeah, thank you. I first want to thank Jeremy for the awesome title for this resolution. I was so busy putting this together that I forgot to actually give it a good title, and my hat's off to Jeremy for doing that. Thank you. The other thing is in the true Earth Day fashion, this is really taking a good look at the community, but also looking toward the horizon. Think globally, act locally, and the theme this year by the Earth Day organization is Planet and Plastics, and so I just wanted to capture that and meld it with sustainability. The concepts of sustainability, as defined by the United Nations, is meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. The real part of this resolution is encapsulated at the bottom in section 1. I don't really want to read all those out loud, but I really want to draw everybody's attention to section 1, and for our viewers that are watching this, please call it up and look at it. The single-use plastics is really, it's not news, but it's really becoming overwhelming on our Earth's resources. And I really urge everybody to actually look at ways to actually find avenues to, if you have to use them, if you buy a product that is single-use, then please find a way to actually recycle it. Giant Eagle, outside their front doors, has very large bins to recycle most of single-use plastics. Swaco takes one form of it. Then that gets me into the second one about enhancing recycling systems. We need to really do a much better job about this. We're limited by what Swaco and the local market can actually say, but I'm telling you that the plastic recycling market is much larger than what Central Ohio has actually defined it to be. And so we need to put our heads around that as well. Then sustainability really isn't just amenities and programs that we might want to say, but it's actually a programmatic view. it's a systems level view of looking at all our processes and making sure that we're meeting the needs of the current without exhausting the resources for future generations. But it's also about being very mindful about climate impacts. And then in true form with sustainability is collaborate, making sure that we always team together with organizations within ourselves and externally to many other organizations that are probably more talented, more specific to what we need to do. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Renner. Mr. Schnetzer.
Thank you, Madam President. I appreciate the comments, Mr. Renner. Just want to maybe fill in a little bit with regard to the topic of personal agency. I think most of my colleagues up here, as well as friends in the community, know it. I'm a pretty avid fisherman, and I feel very blessed to have Big Walnut Creek practically in my backyard. I'm down there, well, schedule willing, several times in the warmer months, and there are many times where I'll go down there, I'll see Mountain Dew bottles, mentioned single-use plastics, Kroger bags, bait containers and stuff like that, and it's really disheartening when people don't clean up after themselves. And so I know many true outdoorsmen and conservationists will pack in, or pack out more than they pack in. So when you see those single-use bags, throw some trash in it. The city of Gahanna has been very kind to include some trash cans at many of our trailheads. So when you're done doing whatever you're doing, using the trails, enjoying the riparian corridors that we have, just please be mindful to take out what you bring in. That's it for me.
Thank you, Mr. Schnetzer. Okay, Mrs. McGregor.
The recent rains last week, when we had such high water, we live beside a creek, and the creek rises and it goes down, rises fast, goes down slow, and leaves a lot of stuff in our yard. And every time it rises up to the bridge and leaves a pile, there are numerous bottles, baseballs, all kinds of bottles, from pop bottles to water bottles, cans, and we go out and clean it up. And this is just runoff from people's yard mostly. And I think even in your yard, if you may think it doesn't go anywhere, but it ends up in our yard or downstream in the Big Walnut. So just even policing your own yard if you live near a stream is important, because that water feeds our streams farther downstream. So.
Thank you, Mrs. McGregor. Mrs. Padova?
Thank you. So I have been thinking a lot more about the things that I do in life, that how to live more sustainably. And I have come up with quite a few questions that make me think of what I'm purchasing before I purchase it, that I'd like to share, especially in regards to plastics. When I think of plastics, you think of the obvious ones, the plastic bottles or large milk cartons, things like that. But one of the things that I've become much more aware of is the plastics that we're wearing, things that don't necessarily look like plastics, and just the awareness of a lot of fast fashion and how that is affecting our planet. So I have been frequently asking myself when I'm shopping, when I'm about to buy something, why is this so cheap? What is this made of? How long will it be in a landfill? How long will it be used before it goes into that landfill? Is it something that I actually need? And is there a better option that would be more sustainable? So I would encourage people to try to ask those questions before purchasing more plastic that will end up in a landfill, because unfortunately there are a lot of things that have become, even clothing now is single-use plastics in a lot of ways. So thank you for putting this together, Mr. Renner.
Thank you, Councilwoman Padova. I just wanted to wrap up our conversation around this. It's amazing to see all of us, I think, very passionate about the issue of litter and single-use plastic and finding ways to reduce that. And you've heard some very actionable steps from my colleagues this evening. On that note, I wanted to remind folks that Make Gahanna Yours is hosting a litter cleanup on April 20th. You can go on the Make Gahanna Yours website to sign up. They're meeting at Friendship Park at 9 a.m. And we'll have all your supplies that are needed, and it is very family friendly, so it's a wonderful activity to go do to pick up the exact types of litter that Councilwoman McGregor has mentioned and Mr. Schnetzer as well. I wanted to just, I have one more challenge, ask, awareness piece that has been really under my skin for a few months. So I'm literally going to stand on my soapbox and talk about plastic pods that we use in our for laundry and for washing machines. The material, I thought they were too good to be true, and it turns out they are. The material that's used for the casing around these pods is polyvinyl alcohol. And they tell you that it's water soluble, which is mostly true, except that it's soluble in that it breaks down into a microplastic that then washes into our waterways. So please, it is so convenient, and I understand the convenience of these pods, but if I could ask one item for every one of us to do is to get away from using the pods because of the use of PVA to create the material that surrounds that. I was very disappointed. I went to Kroger on Sunday to go grocery shopping, and I've been looking for powder detergents, and Kroger is only carrying one store brand of powder dishwasher detergent right now, the Hunter's Ridge Kroger. So I have been ordering on Amazon, which again carries its own problems. But I would encourage folks to reconsider use of the pod material until manufacturers are able to actually create a pod that is not made out of PVA. All right, so with that, I love how, like I said, I love how passionate we all are about this and have given so many examples. If there are no further points for discussion, I'll have Mr. Clerk call the roll. Thank you.
Renner?
Yes.
Schnetzer?
Yes.
Padova?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
McGregor?
Yes.
All right, resolution is carries, and we look forward to continuing to raise awareness about reduction of single-use plastics and maintenance of our waterways and our community. Next on the agenda are ordinances for waiver, introduction, and adoption under Section G. Mr. Clerk, would you please introduce for first reading Ordinance 25-2024?
Ordinance 0025-2024, an ordinance adopting an updated building and zoning fee schedule and waiving second reading.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. I'd like to entertain a motion to suspend the rules of procedure and waive the second reading of Ordinance 25-2024, an ordinance adopting an updated building and the zoning fee schedule.
So moved.
Thank you. First by Mr. Weaver.
Second.
Second by Mr. Schnetzer. Any discussion on the motion to suspend the rules? Hearing none, Mr. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Weaver?
Yes.
Schnetzer?
Yes.
Renner?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
McGregor?
Yes.
Padova?
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Next, I'd like to entertain a motion to adopt Ordinance 25-2024. Is there a first?
So moved.
First by Mr. Weaver,
Second.
a second by Ms. Jones. Any discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Weaver?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Renner?
Yes.
Schnetzer?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
McGregor?
Yes.
Padova?
Yes.
Motion carries. Ordinance 25-2024 is adopted. Next section on the agenda is H, ordinances for introduction, waiver, and emergency adoption. Mr. Clerk, would you please introduce for first reading Ordinance 26-2024?
Ordinance 0026-2024, an ordinance to repeal Chapter 1315, Electrical Inspector from Part 13, Building Code of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Gahanna, waiving second reading and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Mr. Van Meter. I'd like to entertain a motion to suspend the rules of procedure and waive second reading of ordinance 26-2024 and ordinance to repeal Chapter 1315 Electrical Inspector. Is there a first?
So moved.
A first by Ms. Jones, a second?
Second.
Mr. Renner, any discussion? Mr. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Jones,
Yes.
Renner,
Yes.
Schnetzer,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
McGregor,
Yes.
Padova.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next, I'd like to entertain a motion to adopt ordinance 26-2024 with emergency adoption. Is there a first?
So moved.
A first by Mr. Weaver,
Second.
second by Ms. Padova. Any discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Weaver,
Yes.
Padova,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
McGregor,
Yes.
Renner,
Yes.
Schnetzer.
Yes.
All right. Motion carries. Ordinance 26-2024 is adopted. Next section on the agenda, with emergency. Next section on the agenda is I, correspondence and actions. Mr. Clerk, do you have anything for this section?
I do not, thank you.
Okay. I have a couple items, unless anyone else would like to go first. All right. A few updates from council office. Mr. Van Meter and I have been working with Director Schultz to implement a uniform and city-supported email communication tool for council members. The new city newsletter system will accommodate individual council member newsletters. Director Schultz will be training council members on using this newsletter tool. Please email me or Mr. Van Meter for training. Second, Clerk Van Meter, along with Human Resources Manager Ben Nolan and I have been moving forward with staffing the management analyst role. Thank you to Mr. Van Meter in particular for his significant work on investigating and thoughtfully revising the job description, job duties, and focuses of the role based on current staff strengths and skills and desired scope of skills for the office. We received 17 applications from strong and diverse candidates and are interviewing 6 of those applicants based on the strength of how their application, resume, and cover letter identified their strengths and skills with the alignment of the needed job duties. Finally, the last update from council office, we are moving forward with the Clemens and Nelson position audit. Thank you to the support from Director Vollmer. For the council clerk and deputy clerk position. Clerk Van Meter and I completed a comprehensive PAQ position audit questionnaire to assist with an accurate reflection of skills, time, and expectations for those positions to helpfully align salaries that are more appropriate for the skills and duties of those jobs. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Clerk Van Meter or myself. All right, next section on the agenda, representatives. First on the agenda, we have the Community Improvement Corporation from Mr. Renner or Mr. Weaver, or both, as you may choose.
I don't have anything except for we do have a meeting tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock in the committee rooms.
Thank you, Mr. Renner. Anything else, Mr. Weaver?
No, Madam President.
All right, Mr. Weaver, Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission update.
Thank you. A couple of quick updates here. MORPC's Chief Regional Strategy Officer and Senior Director of Planning, Dr. Kirsten Carr, is leaving MORPC to pursue a new career opportunity. On Wednesday, March 1st, from noon to 1:30 at the Franklin County Office Tower, MORPC is convening local governments in the central area, specifically geared towards inside those communities inside 270, but open to those outside as well. To have those communities collaborate on short and long-range community planning, responsibilities for transportation, development, and sustainability. The next commission meeting on May 9th will feature Colonel Andrew Powers, Commander of the Ohio Air National Guard's 121st Air Refueling Wing at Rickenbacker Air National Guard Base. Folks can learn why the base is a critical asset in defending our nation and special interests, and the new agreements taking place with area governments to increase efficiency and provide necessary services. A reminder that Money Mondays meet remotely every Monday from 1 to 1:30. Upcoming topics, well, today's topic was using digital signage to enhance your value to your community. Next week's featured topic is the Community Development Block Grant Program. Excuse me. Last thing I'd like to highlight here, the Ohio Traffic Safety Office will be hosting the first annual Ohio Traffic Safety Summit on May 20th and 21st here in Columbus. Great opportunity to hear from speakers, participate in workshops, share resources and ideas, and network with colleagues from around the state. Registration is free, and more information is available at ohiotrafficsafetysummit.com. Thought that was timed well, given Distracted Driving Month as well. And that is it for me, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Weaver. Councilwoman Padova, Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Thank you. I do not have anything to add. You don't need the liaison when you have the director in this evening.
Thank you, Councilmember Padova. And Councilwoman Jones, School Board.
Yeah, excuse me, thank you. A couple of updates from a special meeting or workshop from school board that was on April 4th. So Cliff Hetzel has been selected as the new treasurer for the district. Cliff is currently the COO. He will assume treasurer position once the replacement for the COO is on board with the district. So the district is really excited to see his increased role in the district. Mr. Hetzel got his treasurer's license last winter, and so will be taking on additional responsibilities. The district also, at that meeting on April 4th, adopted a new language arts curriculum that is in alignment with the new state legislation. There had been conversation on social media, a lot of community interest, and the district has taken all of that into consideration and presented the new language arts curriculum. So for more information, we encourage everyone to check out the recording of the April 4th board workshop meeting. And then last thing I have is just a reminder of the regular school board meeting this Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Jones. Let's see, official reports. Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Last Monday, no one was here, certainly for the evening, and I think City Hall was very empty during the day because everyone was out experiencing the eclipse. Our park staff held an event at Sun Point Park, total eclipse in the park almost, taking a play off the Bonnie Tyler song. They gave Icosai glasses, had a very nice crowd there for that. Just a reminder, your eclipse glasses can be recycled, as we're talking about recycling. I believe you can turn those in at the Gahanna Library or any Columbus Metropolitan Library branch through this Thursday, the 18th. But for those of you, hopefully you all had an opportunity to view that. I have to say that I very much underestimated just how spectacular it truly was. It was an incredible event, and just thrilled to have had the opportunity to actually witness that. Last Tuesday, a team from MSA Design joined me at the Gahanna Senior Center. We had a discussion with the members over there around 825 and the plans for the new senior center portion of 825 Tech Center. MSA team shared renderings with the members who were there, answered questions, took input from them. Director Schultz and I, who've been there several times and have had ongoing conversations with the members of the senior center, but it was wonderful for our team from MSA to come and explain to them a little bit more about how they put the renderings together, their own resume of working with other community centers, most notably the Upper Arlington Community Center currently under construction, and what their work has been as well. So I know several of our members were going to send some comments as well, so we look forward to getting their continued input. Just a couple of project updates. As you may have noticed, Orange Barrels along Havens Corners Road here, a water line reconstruction project, actually water main. There's a difference between a water line and a water main, correct, Mr. Renner, I believe. There's construction work that has begun along Havens Corner Road. That work is expected to continue through early June. Of course, that's weather dependent. If it rains a lot, it'll take a little bit longer than that. Two-way traffic will be maintained at all times while that project is going on, so the lanes have not actually changed. However, there are barrels up to alert drivers through that area and to provide safe room for construction. So we always ask people to use caution through that area because of the school zone and the pedestrians because of the school. That is even more doubly so now that we have both school students through that area as well as construction workers. We do have information posted on this project on Gahanna.gov, and as updates become available, we will post those on gahanna.gov as well. Also, fire hydrant flushing. So beginning today and continuing through the month of May, our partners at Mifflin Township Division of Fire will be working on flushing fire hydrants in a certain area of Gahanna. There is a map also posted on gahanna.gov. There also, if you click on that, there's a news item. If you click on that, you'll get the map, and then you will also get information if you are in the red area indicated on the map, as you'll be able to see what you can expect when they are working in your area. We have already been asked, will there be a weekly schedule as to where they will be working? Unfortunately, probably not, because that their work will fluctuate. Weather will affect that. Calls will affect that, their availability. So they'll just be working on that whenever they have time. But they expect that to take, again, from April 15th today through sometime in May. Also, starting tomorrow and continuing through Thursday, our township friends on the other side, Jefferson Township Fire, will be conducting training exercises in Big Walnut Creek in the Creekside District. So if you see emergency personnel or emergency equipment in that area over the next several days, please do not be alarmed. It is a training exercise. No one is in trouble. It will all be fine, but that should be taking place Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of this week. A couple of staff updates. Again, congratulations to Pam Ripley. My memories of Pam were when she took over as the volunteer coordinator for Creekside Blues and Jazz Festival many, many years ago. And she hung in that role for about 5 or 6 years and really framed the program as it exists today. She did an incredible job, and we will miss her smiling face around here. I will also share that Becky Whittington, my administrative assistant, retired last week as well. It's a little tough. Becky and I have been together for about 10 years. We worked previously before I started to work here at 200 South Hamilton Road. And I have lovingly referred to her as the other half of my brain. She knows and knew what I needed before I knew what I needed. And I will miss her desperately. I've not yet killed my plants because she took care of the plants in my office. But Miranda has taken over that role. But we will be filling her position in the next week or two. We also added an IT support specialist, which is a backfill for the CAD administrator position that we had vacant. Eli Lakebritz, still trying to figure out how to say his last name. I met him today. He's a lovely young man and was taking apart a piece of computer today. So hopefully he can put it back together again. But he seemed very excited about the work that he was doing and already very much engaged. And just a reminder, we have multiple positions that are still available, entry-level maintenance workers in particular, as well as our seasonal positions. Those are all posted on gahanna.gov as well. So if you know someone looking for a summer job, either for experience, to make some extra cash, our Parks and Recs team would love to have you. And then finally, just busy week coming up in Gahanna. I will mention Wednesday night, we have Memories of the Big Walnut Country Club with Rita Smith. That is a continuation of our Gahanna 175 events. Rita, again, is an absolutely incredible lady, famed historian for Columbus. But I really encourage, especially our youth, to take an hour of their time and go and listen to her, of what her experiences were like growing up in the Columbus area. That's at 7 p.m. at the Gahanna Library. Then Saturday, we have several events all happening at the same time. We, as Councilwoman Bowers already listed, Make Gahanna Yours has the Cleaner, Greener Gahanna Litter Cleanup. That is from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Friendship Park. VolunteerGahanna.org is where you can go to get a link to register to volunteer for that. Also from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. right here at City Hall is our annual Shred and E-Recycle Day. So again, talking about recycling and why that's important. It's a great opportunity to get rid of those personal documents, but also things like old laptops, old phones, old monitors that you don't know what to do with. Please bring those down. Grin will be here as well to accept food donations and cash donations. And then also the second annual Walk in Our Boots 5K. All proceeds from that will go to support homeless veterans and homeless veterans who are transitioning into housing locations, and that is, I believe our VFW post is sponsoring that as well. And then next week is Earth Day. I'm just going to give an early announcement for that. So we will start our tree giveaway that we do here. It'll start next Monday and last throughout the week. As long as supplies last, we give out saplings, hundreds of those. So that is a celebration of Earth Day. And I also appreciated the resolution tonight for Earth Day and the comments from our council members. Mr. Renner especially, thank you. And that reminded me, just again, to highlight the grant that we pursued and obtained from SWACO. So those recycling bins that we were able to obtain through that grant should be in place within the coming month, which not only will encourage recycling of Chlora cups down there, but also educate residents on what can and cannot be recycled and the importance of recycling. And then finally, I saw Ms. Montgomery was here, but she left. As part of our Distracted Driving Month, we do have Drive Safe Gahanna decals as part of our marketing and promotion of Distracted Driving Awareness Month, which we did as a proclamation as well there. So these are available to pick up at City Hall. They'll be at the front desk. But again, encouraging all of our folks to drive carefully in the month of April as they're, and beyond that as they're out on the roadways. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. City Attorney Tamala Larison.
Thank you. My only update is that the tobacco preemption litigation in conjunction with the City of Columbus has been filed, and I'll have updates as that unfolds.
Thank you so much. All right, we are on to council comment. Councilwoman Jones.
Nothing for me tonight, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Councilwoman McGregor.
Thank you. I would concur with the mayor. We went to north of Marion to watch the eclipse, and I thought it would be okay, but I was really not prepared for how cool it was. And probably the neatest thing was during the totality, there was like a horizon all the way around, 360. And the light, maybe the 3 minutes before, 3 minutes after the totality was something like I've never seen before. It was just a really great atmosphere. We were with family, and I was thinking that the baby that was there will be 75 the next time we have an opportunity to see such things. So I'm glad we took the opportunity to see it. The other thing I wanted to say was about sustainability. When I went to the Summit on Sustainability that Morpsey put on a few years ago, Goodwill was there, and they talked about that they will accept any clothing. I know sometimes people say they're getting rid of their closets and they say, oh, this isn't worth passing on to Goodwill because they won't use it. It's not saleable. Well, maybe it's not saleable to wear again in this country, but sometimes they send things that are maybe, that they can't sell here. They send them to third world countries just as clothing. We have a friend who spends time in Uganda every year, and she said, I never knew what the word tatters meant until I was in Uganda, and their clothes sometimes are truly in tatters. And so they send clothes there. The other thing they do is they make rags out of the clothes. And the last thing is they send it to countries in, particularly I think Africa, where they're fiber poor. They don't have a lot of fiber to make shingles. So there's a lot of use for clothing after we use it. And so I would encourage everybody not to throw your things away, but take them to Goodwill. They sort it out, and what they can sell, they sell, and what they can use for other purposes, they do that. And that's a good way to keep things out of the landfill.
Thank you, Mrs. McGregor. Councilman Renner.
Yeah, thank you. Just to add to the fun facts about the eclipse, my family and I traveled to Wyandotte County, a county that we hadn't been to yet in northwest Ohio, and just had a phenomenal time there. There's a lot of history, Ohio history, in Wyandotte County. We stood, in fact, at the steps of the Wyandotte County building to watch totality and have 4 minutes of fun there. But you know what was really more fun too is talking to the people in rural Ohio. We pride ourselves in being, so connected here in central Ohio, but getting out, finding those opportunities to get out and talk to others they have different perspectives and different expectations about life and everything. And that really enriched our family life to the nth degree. We also traveled around, and there's a large solar farm, so I had to go check that out. And there's also a lot of carrot farms up there too. So really, carrot and popcorn in Wyandotte County, that's a big deal. All right, so I want to thank my colleagues for the passage of the Earth Day resolution, and thank you for all the wonderful comments. It's really a deep pleasure to hear everybody's perspectives, and everybody's right. And the other thing about this is that I hear a lot from my colleagues about stormwater runoff. And that also gets to near and dear my heart because we spend a lot of money to build these systems to shuttle water over to the streams. When we shouldn't be doing that, we should be making it go down, not horizontal, but down. And I'm going to be talking a lot more of that because of my class really soon. The other thing I just want to finally add to the chorus about Pam, I've known Pam Ripley for almost as long as I've been on council, and phenomenal lady and dedicated. She was in, as you heard, on the park side, and then came over and really helped us at a time before we had Jeremy with that transition period. So I'm very, very grateful for the work she did. My hat's off to her for getting her CMC. That's a big deal in the clerk world, and it's a big deal for her own growth. So my hat's off to her, and thank her for all her years of service in the public sector. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Renner. Councilwoman Padova?
Thank you. Thank you again to Councilman Renner for the Earth Day resolution, and more importantly, for your just general commitment to the climate. You have absolutely heightened my awareness on sustainability. I'm much more cognizant about the amount of things that are coming into our house, the materials they're made of, and I frequently find myself asking, what would Stephen do? What would he think of this? I don't think that this is what I should be doing right now. I think I should go with this option. Asking that has led to a lot less impulse purchases, a reduction in plastic use, checking fabrics. I started composting to a degree, and doing more making, reusing, and less buying. I'm still doing a lot of things wrong. I was kind of laughing earlier when President Bowers was talking about the laundry detergent because in an attempt to not buy the large jugs, got the sheets that you use, and
Yeah,
those
are also PVA.
Yeah, those didn't seem to be getting things very clean. So I finally broke down and bought the pods last week. So we'll see if Costco's return policy includes ruining the environment. So thank you to Mr. Renner a lot for all of your commitment to sustainability and educating all of us, and also President Bowers this evening as well. That's all.
Thank you, Ms. Padova. And I think to that point, there's always more that we're learning, right? Always new ways to do a little bit better. Mr. Schnetzer.
Thank you, Madam President. Just some thanks to city staff, Gahanna PD in particular, and Public Service Department. Of course, with the warmer weather, I've seen a lot more residents out and about using the trails and sidewalks, which is, of course, a good thing. But with that comes just more cognizance and interaction with vehicular traffic. So have received some concerns about speeding on various roadways, shared those concerns with Chief Spence and Kevin, and very rapid response. The chief was out there with a speed trailer and increased patrols in that particular targeted area, and Kevin came back and said that they had some longer-term mitigation plans in mind as well. And I just highlight that because, we're not exactly a small community with 36,000 residents, but to have that personal level of touch, that rapid of a response, I think really makes it feel a bit like a small town. And I just don't know that if we lived in a larger community or, just frankly a different community, that we would get that level of kind of personal service. So thank you both. And then also on the park side, I know it's been a challenge with the rain and the weather, plenty of postponements, cancellations, and reschedulings when it comes to baseball practice and various other sports, but I know that the Parks Department has been working feverishly trying to get the sports fields and the baseball diamonds in playable condition. So thank you to everybody there that's been burning the midnight oil trying to get that ready. So that's all for me.
Thank you, Mr. Schnetzer. Mr. Weaver.
Nothing further this evening. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Mr. Weaver. A couple of short notes. I wanted to, as we congratulate Pam on her years of service to Gahanna, I also wanted to congratulate Sophia McGuire on her promotion to Deputy Clerk of Council. So we are so glad that you are growing in Gahanna with us, Sophia. And on that note, we are very excited for the first ever, I think, Records Management Game Day in Gahanna that Deputy Clerk McGuire is holding on Wednesday. So hope that is a smashing success, and we can't wait to hear about how you turn records management into fun. I have attached my constituent report for March to the agenda. March was a very busy month, as you can see. I wanted to highlight that my next constituent hour will be on Saturday, May 11th at 1 o'clock, again at the Gahanna branch of the library. And finally, I wanted to mention that I attended the Affordable Housing Learning Exchange session last week that was hosted by the Greater Ohio Policy Center. What I found was interesting is that there were two main topics of discussion, and there were a number of Central Ohio suburbs represented, but primarily a number of larger cities and the metropolitan areas that were represented on the call. And Mr. Van Meter was able to attend this policy briefing as well, this policy discussion. The first topic was on rental and mortgage assistance, so specifically on direct cash assistance, especially from larger municipalities. It was shared that a number of the regional and smaller suburban communities were doing other things like what Gahanna is doing, finding ways to support residents, whether it's through offsetting costs of sidewalk maintenance or coming up with other solutions to help offset other costs of home ownership, while it may not be direct rental or mortgage assistance. The second item I felt was even a bit more distant from kind of where we are regarding property tax increases and what, if anything, can local government do about property tax increases. Not a lot of solutions were suggested around that, and I think that we are very sensitive and cognizant that property taxes are the primary way that public education is funded. So continuing to explore those topics, Franklin County auditor was represented during that call. A staff member was represented during that call, and I would love to have Bethany Sanders come out and give us an update from the Franklin County Auditor's Office on property tax processes and appeals and forecasting around that. With that, if there's nothing else for this evening, we can adjourn the meeting. Thank you.